From the hot air balloon capital of the world, this is the 46th edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon. The world's premier ballooning event is happening now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This is Balloon Fiesta Live, online and on the air. And now, here is Glenn Moyer and Art Lloyd Jr.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Day 9. It's the final day of the 46th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta, presented by Canon. And Art, what I want to know is, who the heck turned on winter again?
I'm not real sure, but it has definitely moved back in here. I was just looking, my temperature gauge here says 35 this morning.
Oh, I didn't need to hear that.
So it was still about 45 when I got up about 3:30 this morning. But, of course, we have some breezy winds here, which always brings the wind chill factor into play.
And, of course, that's part of the reason we're a little late getting online and on the air this morning is because we are on a weather hold for this final day. And because we have, and of course, Brad Tiemeyer told us last night during the glow, which was a candlestick glow last night because we had winds then.
Understand.
That we were expecting some strong easterly winds early on this morning, but he thought that the Sandias would give us a break. And that's essentially what we're waiting on now. We're kind of on a hold, waiting for the sun actually to rise up and over the mountains in the hope that, as often happens, the winds will then soften with the warming of this kind of bowl that we're in, this natural geographic bowl. And if the winds do soften, that will allow us to get the balloons up into the sky. Art's monitoring our official radio, as you can see, getting a quick update. So, yeah, we're just kind of spinning our wheels here for the moment.
So Sam is just, Sam Parks, our balloon meister, is telling the pilots right now over our Balloon Fiesta radio to the pilots that the winds right here on the field remain at 12 knots. That is too high for us to take off. But as you were saying, once the sun actually comes over the mountain, because official sunrise was 1 minute ago, but it takes a while to get over the mountain there. And so that's when things change, and we have watched that happen every single day this week.
We've seen it all week long. Yeah, there's, and it's not unusual to feel this strong sort of northerly drainage wind that we're getting now of the winds coming down out of the canyon and into this bowl. And then typically once the sun does begin to warm up the earth but it has to get high enough over the Sandias to be able to do that here. And once it does that, then typically we do see the winds begin to mix and calm down. So we're actually on a hold until 7:30 for the launch of the balloon of the day. That is, of course, when we launch the colors and have our national anthem. And typically we've been doing that at about 6:45 each morning.
Right. We've been very early with them this year, getting them up almost before the official sunrise time.
Almost. We do have in a waiver for those that are balloonists that are watching and are going to say, wait, the federal regulations. Well, we have a waiver that allows us to launch the balloon of the day within the half hour of civil twilight or civil sunlight or whatever that's called. I forget. But a half hour before official sunrise, basically. Hey, we should also mention that we're live, of course, on BalloonFiesta.com and probably on the Balloon Fiesta YouTube channel. And we've come up with a workaround for Facebook.
We have.
Because we can't get the feed back up on Balloon Fiesta's Facebook page. However,
we have put it up on both of actually on my page. So Art Lloyd Jr. on Facebook. That's with 2 L's. Art Lloyd Jr. on Facebook. You have now shared the feed that I have.
Sharing your feed onto my page, which is also public on Facebook for the moment anyway. And so my page is just Glenn Moyer, GlenMoyer. And so those of you that have been used to watching on Facebook, if you prefer to do that for whatever reason, you can, but you have to go to either Art Lloyd Jr. or Glenn Moyer, and you can watch it there. It's not, unfortunately, live on Balloon Fiesta. And the nice thing about that is we can interact with folks that are commenting. Ina Vanderkratz, thank you, Ina. I didn't need to hear that either. She says they have 21 degrees C here. It's the nice last day of summer.
Oh.
Ina, of course, is in the Netherlands. So, Ina, you're dismissed now. Thank you very much. You can leave.
Yeah.
21C, I forget how to do all the conversion, but that's pretty warm. So I wish it were that warm here.
Yep. So we do, there's Sean's asking, are they inflating? Obviously not yet. I am actually seeing some pilots, I don't know if they're just trying to keep warm out there, firing off the burners.
Probably so.
So, we're on hold here till 7:30. Dos Equis, Scott Appleman will be flying the balloon of the day if we are able to do that at 7:30. In the meantime, for those of you here on the field, this is a great time to go pick up those last souvenirs, whether they're programs, calendars, pins, patches, sweaters, hoodies, sweatshirts, whatever you're after.
Yep.
Now's a great time to go do that. Get an extra special breakfast burrito or other food of choice. 35 food vendors down there along the way.
And a good time to go get a nice hot hello.
Nice one of those too.
9. A nice hot cup of coffee, of New Mexico Pinon coffee, and or their hot chocolate, which I would kill for right now. Yes, it is warm. It's working, Joey. I owe Frankie a big hug for that.
Yeah.
I've got a nice little heater just off camera here that a friend of mine gave me this week. Get out of here.
Did you ever get that time lapse posted that you took from up here?
Being photobombed by some of our friends from home. Hey, and while we have time this morning, before we get busy, and hopefully we will, I want to say congratulations to you, buddy. Yesterday, during the awards ceremony, which you and I are master of ceremonies.
We are. Great fun.
You received the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association's Sid Cutter Award, which is their most prestigious award, one of the most prestigious I know.
It is.
And it is for your, there's a great picture of you receiving the award yesterday for your long time and continued volunteerism, working with the Quad A, with the museum, with AIBF, and of course, as executive producer, that's right, bow to the master.
Yeah, my wife's already got the pinpricks to deflate my
deflate your ego.
Well, she's already after that.
Well deserved, my friend, and I'm proud for you. Really proud for
Thank
you. That's a great honor. I've seen it being presented here for the past 20-odd years. And,
started in 1975, and there are some really impressive names on that.
There are. There's some real ballooning pioneers on that name.
There are.
And you're in good company, but well-deserved, my friend. I'm very proud for you.
Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate the recognition there. I really absolutely had no idea that was coming. They did a great job of keeping it secret.
Yeah, a little inside story. Art and I were standing beside each other as Elisa Trianis was presenting the award, and you had volunteered to hold the award for her so she could read the presentation.
Yes, I did. And she said, no, I've got it. I've got it. Yeah.
And as she started reading the presentation, Art leans down to me and says, I know now why they wouldn't let me hold it. He says, I know who it is. And I said, well, who is it? He said, it's me.
When they, the second line out, I mean, they first said about 35 years of doing this, more than 35 years. It's 36, which of course is more than 35.
Oh yeah.
And then started right into the whole radio conversation, which really got me working here at Balloon Fiesta and volunteering. Right. Once you started on that story, it was very obvious who it was. My wife, Bobby, and my good friend, Peter Cuneo, who actually won the Sid Cutter Award last year.
Right.
They conspired over a couple of months period to get this nomination done and in. And now I remember back all these, why is my wife asking me how I got started in Balloon Fiesta again? She knows that story. Why is she asking? But she was trying to fill in all the details there. And so they did a great job of keeping it from me. Thank you very much. Thanks to the Quad A and all the folks who voted to put that in there as well. I am just blown away by that honor, and thank you very much.
Well, it's well deserved, and they didn't even take into account the hours of volunteer work you put into to this production as executive producer of Balloon Fiesta Live, and the hours you're going to put into it going forward next year, because I know we're already talking about ways to improve the program. And,
well, here we are Sunday, and by next Friday, I have to have a debrief ready on all of this to move forward.
Yeah.
So we'll certainly be looking at ways. We had a number of ideas that we already had on the table that we didn't implement this year for various reasons. We wanted to see about getting a solid show on the air.
You have to learn to crawl before you can walk, and walk before you can run, and we could have easily bitten off more than we could chew. And tried to get far too technical and far too advanced. And as you say, the real objective was let's just put a solid program out there. And I think, certainly we've done that. The comments that we've seen on all the feeds have suggested that people all around the world have enjoyed the programming. And I haven't stopped. Have you added up all the views over the course of the 9 days? I'm thinking we've got to hit at least 250,000 by now.
I think so. I've not gone back and done those because obviously we're sending it multiple places between
Right.
Facebook and now we've been on Balloon Fiesta Facebook. We're on Art Lloyd Jr.'s Facebook. We're on Glenn Moyer's Facebook.
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah, trying to pull all those around there. So there's one of those little technical things that they figured out how to do on our monitor here. Show a shot of the field and put us down as little inserts there.
Inset us as inset photos. That's kind
Yeah,
of cool.
so
you can actually see what we see from here on the rooftop studio.
Which is a whole lot of people standing around watching the wind blow at the
watching the
moment.
wind blow, absolutely.
So, so we're going to continue to improve on this and put some more things together and see if we can't up the game for next year here as well. We have certainly appreciated all of your suggestions, comments, sharing of the videos, etc.
Absolutely.
And we'll take all of those into consideration. I'll be spending probably tonight and tomorrow trying to review all the comments. I've tried to keep up, but it's just impossible with all the other things that are happening.
Some of the Facebook broadcasts have had as many as 1,000 comments on them, and
yes,
I've tried to go back and read through some of them too, and I've scanned a lot, but you just can't. You can spend hours sitting reading every comment. Not that we don't appreciate them, but it's just there's only
just so many there. Yes,
and we got to get at least an hour's sleep every day, whether we need it or not. One of the things that was widely suggested, of course. I kept seeing people say, the only thing missing is the helicopter view, the aerial views.
Exactly.
And we talked about that, about how we could capture that. And I got to tell you, I had a conversation yesterday afternoon before the awards, or right after the awards ceremony, with Nick Donner, one of the pilots, a past world champion, 5-time national champion. And he came up and said, man, I love what you guys are doing. This live feed is the best thing Fiesta's done in years. And he said, but we need to get an aerial view. And he said, he said, sign me up. I'll be the experimental pilot. We'll figure out a way to mount GoPros up in the balloon, and and capture some aerial views and get them back down. So, so I think we could find some volunteers to kind of help us.
I'm sure we can. Yeah, I'm sure we can. And that was probably the number one thing that we want to be adding back in is some aerials. It was one of those. Some of the wireless communication is kind of the hold back in that. It's easy to get a picture in the balloon, but to get the signal back is another issue.
Right. You can put a GoPro up in a balloon and get great pictures and video, but it's getting a live signal back to the feed, and we don't quite yet have the budget for a helicopter. So
no, we don't. Well, and we had talked about the local TV stations have helicopters, and we might even partner with them to see if we can't get their helicopter feed as well. And so we'll continue to look at all of those different options as we move forward on that. You mentioned Nick Donner, by the way. He, of course, placed second overall in the overall competition here. Maury Petrin was our overall champion.
He was, and so he took home the Sid Cutter Memorial Trophy, a replica of it, and he also took home a check for $10,000, and then he also won $1,000, I think, on one of the polls.
Yes.
So he's a rich man this morning.
It was a good week for Maury Petrin.
That's a good week of work if you're just out flying a balloon to take home $11,000 and some prizes. Yeah.
So kind of just running down the top 10 there for you. As we mentioned, Maury Petrin, number one. In second place was Nick Donner. Third place, Rhett Hartzell. Fourth place, Joe Hartzell. Fifth place was Rick Goosey.
Oh, I got to tell you a quick story about Rick while we're here. I hope his mom is watching today because one of the days. One of the days during competition, we were announcing all the different pilots who were crossing the target and doing well. Well, Rick, obviously, to finish fifth, came across the target, did very well.
We missed him.
And his mom was watching, and she said, who is that guy doing the announcing? She says, you came across the target. He mentioned everybody else's name, but he didn't say your name. And Rick was just really giving me a rash from her last night.
He was.
All in good fun, of course. Rick and I are good friends. And so I promised that, the next time I saw him in the air, I would be sure to mention his name. I may not be able to do that now, but
it just may be a while before you see him in the air.
Mother Goosey, if you're out there watching, we love your son, and I'm sorry that I didn't announce his name when he went across the target, but he did well, and we're all happy for him this week.
Congratulations to Rick for his fifth-place finish there.
Yeah.
Keith DeCatch was in sixth place. The other Hartzell, Lucas Hartzell, in seventh. Charles or Bruce Bussey in eighth, and Jimmy Marshall in ninth. Billy Adler wins the tie with Alan Anderson to get 10th place.
And so that means all three of the Hartzells?
All three of the Hartzells
were in the top 10?
Yes, they were.
Wow.
Yes, they were.
That's impressive.
Not necessarily
like
out
father,
of
like son,
out of
like
line
son.
there. So you're leaving us?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Joey.
See you, buddy. Thanks for coming up.
You bet. Good seeing you, Joey. Take care.
Stay warm.
So, obviously, folks visiting us up here on the rooftop studio, formerly known as the Super Top Secret Announce
Super
location.
Secret Announce Tower, yeah. And Joey is one of our crew from home. He's now he's a student pilot. All he has to do is just go take his check ride, and he's ready to get his pilot certificate. And,
Good deal.
Has his own balloon now and is a great photographer. He does a lot of work for me in Ballooning Magazine. And in fact, one of the stories we'll be doing in Ballooning Magazine will be a story about Balloon Fiesta Live. So I had Joey up here on assignment taking photos of us, and Phil and David and Randy and all the folks back in the control center there behind us. Which looks like they're camping back there behind us right now. You see over my shoulder.
The tent back there.
See the tent back there.
Well, they got the walls up.
The walls
they got the big heater going out there.
Going,
yeah, see, there they are waving at us.
They stuck a hand out just long enough to wave. They're not crazy. And our producers, is Lisa or Brandon are both on board this morning?
Lucy's working this morning.
Lucy's this morning. They're inside in the building where it's nice and warm. Why is it that it's the talent who are sitting out here in the freezing cold?
Well, I don't know.
I think we got to work on that picture.
Well,
even
but
Larry Aarons is here with us on he's not off roaming around yet this morning, but Larry's off camera here with us on the tower. You should be indoors.
He's at least standing out here with us, but he's very close to the heater.
Well, he is. He's under one of the
he's tall
heaters.
enough to get to be able to make that work for him.
That's true. He could walk past us behind us, and you wouldn't see his head. It would be like the headless commentator walking by back there.
Well, we've talked for many years about enclosing the announce area or moving to an enclosed area and things like that. And while that always sounds good on mornings like this when we're sitting here in the cold and the wind, when the balloons are flying like they were yesterday, boy, what a gorgeous day we had yesterday.
Well,
I would have not wanted to be inside.
Well, and the problem with that is, I do a number of these events around the country, and events are always wanting to give me like a little pop-up tent with a roof over my head to keep basically to stay out of the sun.
Right.
And that's nice, but there's a shot of the headless commentator with his head up in the heater there. But the problem is, like you say, like yesterday, and as we've done here all week long, a lot of times you need to be able to look directly up overhead to see what's happening and see the balloons. And if you're under a tent, you can't do that. So I wish, what we need to find is somebody needs to create a completely transparent tent.
That would be nice.
Out of all clear vinyl. Then we could be indoors of sorts, at least where the heaters would keep things hot. And we can still see. That would be nice.
That would. Even because I'm now starting to do some other events as well. I usually get a stage now, so at least I get about 270 degrees. But there's still that direction behind you.
There's always an area that's
you
kind of
can't
blocked.
see.
That you can't see from.
And
you can't control which direction balloons are flying in. So you really need a nice wide open 360-degree view, and you can't do that indoors, unfortunately.
So, Phil, I don't know if you can get a shot out to the south out there, but we've been talking about we're waiting for the sun to come up and to hit the field here. But if I look out to the southwest from the field, I can actually see the sun over there on the other side of the valley here. Albuquerque, of course, in a nice bowl here between the Sandia Mountains off to the east, and then we go down to the river, the Rio Grande, and then back up.
You want to pan the other direction.
Well, I was gonna say if he's got a camera on the back feed there.
Oh, he does.
On the back side there. That.
Well, it looks like we're racing in NASCAR. I think we've got a bug on one of the cameras there, and we need those sliding.
They tell me that actually is between the glass and the lens.
Oh,
it's
is
not,
it?
Yeah, it's not. We can't get it off of there. It's,
so it's
inside there. So there's the shot out the back of the.
Out the back of our rooftop studio.
Yeah. So as he kind of goes around and we get past the museum and some other places there, we'll be able to get out to the.
I don't think the camera's going to go far enough.
It's going the wrong way there. So maybe they can get it around the other way, but we can see the sun over there on the far side, the west side of town. Rio Rancho starting to be in there, so the sun is
coming around the right direction.
Left and right sometimes confusing when you're dealing with television.
Yeah,
so now you see, you see the volcano cones out there. So the sun is out there. That's as I was saying, goes down to the river, Rio Grande down there, the valley, and then it kind of comes back up. It's still there?
I think I can see the brute. Well, he just passed. He just zoomed past it. I think I see my truck sitting down there.
It's a little farther over, I think. Because you're past the Creamland trailer.
Yeah,
there.
I guess I am. I'm over by the gondola club. So, but yeah, anyway.
So there we can see the sun is coming this way.
So it is coming up. It's just not here yet.
Yeah, so it's working our way, and we'll just kind of watch the shadow go away as it comes this way. But on the far west side over there, a view of the volcanoes. There are 5 or 6 volcano cones over there. And so that's the other side, which makes Albuquerque a really place to fly balloons and for a balloon fiesta like this, because it doesn't matter where in the area you are, you can see the whole place. And so if there's a balloon up, you can see it. And in fact, there are balloons up.
There are some balloons up. Those are not Balloon Fiesta registered balloons.
They are not. They'd be flying over on the what we've just been talking about, the West Mesa part of Albuquerque.
Right.
So it's obviously a little calmer over there where the sun has already come up. So that's good news for us.
Yeah, that may mean that what we're hoping will happen, and that is once the sun gets over the Sandias and begins to light and heat this part of Albuquerque, the bowl here that we're in, that then we will see the winds calm down and we'll be able to get
how are you, sir?
Get the balloons in the sky. Who's behind us? I can't even see.
He snuck up on us here.
Well,
it's one of our special shape pilots.
I'm falling out of my chair this morning. I don't know why. Hey, Doug. I did. Yes, thank you, sir. So I keep slipping down out of my chair, and I'm trying to stay upright and not end up on the floor, which would not be a good thing. So
you want to come over here and talk to us, Doug? Yeah, we just had a picture of him over there.
Yeah.
So this is Doug Gant here. He flies Hamlet, or When Pigs Fly. So brought us some pins here.
Well,
obviously not flying this morning, though.
I'm digging into my sack of pins.
No, as of this morning, we are standing down and waiting official word from the zebras this morning what we're going to do.
Because the winds above the grounds are just a little bit brisk. Actually, even right here on the ground, they're a little brisk.
There you go, buddy.
Thank you. Yes, they are very brisk, and we're obviously monitoring that as are the safety officials as well. We want to be very, very careful we make the right decision this morning before we launch and put balloons and passengers in the air.
Well, and especially this morning because it is day 9, and as much as we probably would not want to admit it, we're all a little bit tired.
Yes.
Because it's been a great week. We've flown every event, every flying event. We've had balloons in the air, and so yeah.
And for hours. Yesterday,
for
hours, and on. Yes.
And it is a long week, and it's a lot of long hours and short, long days and short nights. So everybody is a little tired, and that's when you have the greater propensity for potential mistakes. So we definitely want to be a little more careful this morning, I think.
Always better to be on the ground, wishing you were up there than up there wishing you were down here,
yep.
Right?
And unfortunately, as a pilot, there's been a few times when we've been up there.
I was going to say, there's been more than one time when I've said, help, Mr. Wizard, I don't want to be a balloon pilot today.
Here.
Yeah.
So how have your flights been this week, Doug?
We've had a great week. It's been a wonderful week for flying. Like you talked about yesterday's flight, which was my 90-minute flight to nowhere. I think I flew about a quarter mile as the crow flies, and and that was it was just very different because there was just no winds and no movement anywhere.
Did you come down in a parking lot, the RV lot over there? Is that what I read?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. How was the reception over there?
They were great. There were lots of people to help us there when we landed, and they were excited to see us.
Did you get breakfast?
No, no one was cooking at the
time.
No
one was cooking at that time.
They're all watching balloons. I did see somebody on Facebook post that they landed and then they went in and had breakfast and then brought the whole family out and did a couple hours of tether work out there. So,
I've had that happen in my flying career, and I'm sure a lot of pilots have, where we've landed on someone's property and about breakfast time, and they come out and help pack up the balloon, then invite us, the pilot and the crew in, and we all go in and have breakfast with the local landowner family and have a great time.
It's great fun. It's a great way to.
That's one of the nice things about Albuquerque is that they're so balloon friendly, the landowners here, that more often than not, that's what happens. Like our Friday flight was that way, where we landed in the backyard of a house off of Edith, and they were more than accommodating. They were just wonderful people and happy to see us, and the kids were all excited.
Sure.
We scared Mom to death because she was in the shower. She didn't know what was happening.
I remember a real quick story about landowners. We were flying up in Baltimore and landed in the front yard of this beautiful home. And in fact, the lady who lived there, her name was Rothschild. I don't know if it was the Rothschild, but that was her name.
Now he's dropping names on us.
That's right, yeah.
He does that up here a lot.
Okay.
He does that a lot.
All right, we're feeling special, Glenn,
I
okay?
I know you are. I said, I don't know if it was the Rothschild. It was just interesting that was her name. And so I sent one of the crew up because it was a nice calm day. And I said, go up and ask the landowner, one, for permission, and two, if she'd like to come out, we'll give her a tether ride. And it was a lovely little old lady. She was probably grandmotherly age. And she came to the door and told my crew, no, thank you. But you go ahead and do what you need to do. Well, a bunch of neighbors came out, so we tetherized all the neighbor kids and whatnot. Finally, packed the balloon down. We streamer it, and we were putting it back in the bag. The front door opens, and she comes out. Initially she was in her nightgown and her hair up and that kind of. She comes out, and she's dressed to the nines. She's in her heels. She's got her makeup on, and I'm ready for my balloon ride. And so my crew, being who they were, we literally inflated the balloon, stood it back up, and we gave her her balloon ride.
Good for you.
You meet some of the greatest people in this sport.
do.
You do.
You really do.
You really do.
You do.
Hey, the sun is. Look out!
Finally
on the
starting.
field.
Yep, it's finally hitting the field here now.
Just come up enough. We're starting to light the field up.
Well, I don't think I'm getting in my swimsuit anytime soon yet, but it's
no, it's not going to
nice
warm
to see
up.
the sun.
It's not going to warm up. So now we just need to hope that the
And
sun
besides, I don't think anybody wants to see you in a Speedo anyway. So,
so we'll.
I know you live in Florida, but still.
Yeah, that's an ugly sight. I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, that's it. That's it as well. So, Doug Gant, Hamlet, When Pigs Fly. We've enjoyed watching you fly. Congratulations on your son's wedding last weekend.
I appreciate y'all talking about him up here too.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Did you tell him we were talking about it?
Absolutely.
And your son is also a balloon pilot, right?
Yes, my son is a balloon pilot, and one day we'll get him out here flying as well. So
that'll be great. That'll be
Good
great.
to see you.
Thanks for joining us up here. Okay.
Thank you, Glenn.
All right.
You guys, gentlemen, have a good time.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, buddy. Doug Gant, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to let you talk for a second there.
You're gonna okay. Well, I was saying goodbye to Jackie. She came up to say one of the staff here that we've known for years, and I think I tried to give her a peck on the cheek, and instead she got bumped with my microphone. But the thought was there anyway. So
the good news is, though, because this is no longer a top secret location there, we've got people coming up to our rooftop studio here, and while we wait for the sun to mix the winds and hopefully slow them down, we've got some other folks that we can chat with here as well.
Figure a way to spin this chair around.
So Barbara Fricke is
there we go. Hi,
here.
Barbara. I'm good. You got to hold it like an ice cream cone, almost.
Got to hold it like an ice cream cone. Okay. Hi, Glenn. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, Barbara. How are you this morning?
Not too cold up here, huh?
No.
I see you're in a jacket and earmuffs just like us. So
yeah, I am. It's a little. The wind brings in the cold, but you know
that wind chill factor. Barbara Fricke on the board of directors here owns the balloons that I fly with. We've talked about those. Also has participated in the America's Challenge gas race.
Right.
The gas banquet last night. They were awarded their first place trophies from last year
because they actually this year were the defending champions.
Exactly.
And finished third this year.
We finished third.
Well,
yes.
Nice flight.
Nice flight. Long flight. Not quite as long as first and second, but it was our greatest flight.
Longest record for you guys.
Our
personal
longest record. Yes, our personal record.
And your retrieve was something for the record books too.
It was.
We saw some of the video of Gold Digger pulling the balloon out of the woods. That was priceless. That really was.
It really was.
It was. The stories and the experiences you can get when you land who knows where.
Yeah.
After almost 2,000 miles it's awesome.
Yeah. I've never done a gas flight. What is it like to be in a balloon up in the sky at night? It has to be awesome.
At night, it's gorgeous because you can see the lights of the cities. A gas balloon will typically rotate very, very slowly during the night. So although you're looking at one set of lights, all of a sudden that set of lights is 90 degrees off. So we use a very simple, cheap thing called a compass. So you can look at your expensive GPS to see what track you're on and then use your cheap compass to figure out where that is.
You're dating all of us when you start talking about using a compass.
I know. Compasses hardly exist nowadays.
But you know, Phillips 66, one of the sponsors here, actually gave those little, I won't call them cheap because Phillips 66 didn't, but little inexpensive compasses in all the Navigator packs.
Oh, really?
They did, and I've seen many pilots who picked them up at pilot registration, having them hanging off their lanyard.
Yeah. So it's
people
there.
are still using them.
They still work. And all those folks who come here and go to the east. Which way is east? Well, here it's the mountains. Of course, in Denver it's the other way. So having a compass helps a lot.
Well, and I've never had a problem figuring out east and west here. Maybe it's because the Sandias are in the east and the sun comes up over there, and I look forward to that every morning up here. But I've always, for some reason, had north and south backwards.
Yes.
I'm always saying we're at looking down at the south end, and we're up, and we're not. We're on the south end, and that's north out there. But I can't get it straight. I don't know why. 28 years here. You'd think I'd figure it out.
Yeah, maybe that's what's keeping you from getting that honorary citizenship here.
I think I just haven't greased the mayor's palm. No. Mayor Barry is not like that. He's a great guy, and I do have one of his balloon pins, by the way. It's one of his mayoral pins, which he said was a limited edition. The governor's been our guest up here. We've had Susana Martinez with us up here before too. So I know some people with pull here in the state. I just haven't figured out why I don't have that honorary citizenship yet.
So. We don't have it on our camera, but someone down on the field has let a little pie ball go, just a little black balloon with some helium in it to kind of tell us what's happening. So it's 200 feet off the ground, and it's just whipping out of here pretty fast. So that's really the wind, obviously on the ground, but especially that stuff up there, that is way too fast for us to fly safely. I did notice our anemometer here seems to have sped up on the officials' tower here as well.
Oh, that's not good.
And our Balloonmeister, Sam Parks, is on the phone, probably talking to the meteorologist here at the Balloon Fiesta to see what's really happening here. And we'll continue to see what goes on. We've got a great crowd out here again this morning, though. We had a fabulous crowd yesterday. You were up. What did it look like from the air with the crowd yesterday?
Oh, the crowd was wonderful yesterday. It stretched all the way down from concession row in at least halfway across the field, and it was packed. People were really enjoying being around the balloons, I think, and seeing them. And we just had a great flight going west from the field a little bit, and then actually coming back to the field and landing. It was my first time in my 20-some Fiestas to do that.
To be able to land back on the field?
Land back on the field.
Was it Barbara that you were saying was complaining because the pilot was with her? It was their first time flying here.
It's his first Fiesta.
He boxes and lands on the field, and Barbara hadn't done that in 20-odd years.
Yep, they were in the balloon
Absolutely
together
right.
there. Yep.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Yep, I was just being passenger with him yesterday, but he got right back to this field. He did a great job.
Well, he had a great teacher in Barbara.
Well, I'm sure.
So, yeah. Yep, that's it. Anything you want to add to the conversation here this morning?
I don't think so. I just hope everybody's really enjoying the nice field, and we don't control the weather, so we're sorry about the little wind, but
we still got 8 great mornings here, and 3 great glow, 3 or 4 glows. Most of the glows went off nicely. A little wind last night, so you did a candlestick.
Yeah, we did it. We had great fun with it because the pilots were without sans envelopes. They didn't have the overheating issues, and so they were just burning propane to be burning propane. And Larry and I almost didn't need to call all birds and stuff because everybody was on the burners down there.
I saw a suggestion for a new type of burn when you don't have the envelopes up there. That would be a gimbal burn where you have to wave the.
Well, we saw.
I'm sure a number of people were doing it. But
we had somebody on the feed last night, and I pointed that out. That was just sitting in the basket, weaving the burners back and forth, and it was fun. We had a great crowd, and the crowd stuck it out, stayed with us, and enjoyed the show. Had a lot of fun last night.
Excellent. So, Barbara Fricke, congratulations on your first year ago, getting those awards, and the third this great flight. We certainly enjoyed tracking it and watching it from here, sharing the pictures of the very gorgeous area you landed, and, of course, Gold Digger pulling you out.
Yeah.
Gold Digger got us out safe and sound, and we enjoyed seeing the beautiful trees in the east and the
color
Midwest.
in the video and the pictures was just gorgeous.
The colors are great, and the wonderful people of Island Pond, Vermont.
Actually, Phil, do you have the video over there that we can run?
There's the map.
There's the map of
where all the
tracks
balloons,
there.
Ended up. But yeah, if we have that video, there's some great pictures and fun video of Gold Digger the horse pulling the balloon team out of the woods. That was fun.
Have to see if he can. We didn't tell him we were going to roll that, throw that one out of here this morning. He's searching for it there. And what we had, it's just kind of a compilation of pictures from Ray Palmer. Ray, of course, was on your chase crew. He chases with us, but he was one of the 2 that went after you all the way up to Vermont. And so just a whole kind of compilation of pictures from the entire process there. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get those up Yes, it is. He found it, so we'll
Okay.
have that in just a moment.
We'll get to see that in a moment. By the way, give Peter my best. I haven't had a chance to see him yet this week because you guys flew out of here almost before I got to town. So please give me my best.
So here we go.
There's Peter right there. He
There he
is
is.
right now playing chauffeur. He's getting our German friends who've been flying our second balloon off to the airport this morning for their flights home. He worked with the Swiss chase team yesterday from the gas balloon, and he's going to chauffeur them to the airport this morning.
My goodness.
There's the whole crew, all the
That's
pilots.
All the
yeah.
pilots.
And then what we were talking about yesterday, this is actually part of the setup and inflation. You saw the valve, you saw the top, stretching it all out here, connecting it to the basket. And then this is the diffuser. That's the big metal piece there in the bottom of the balloon that lets the hydrogen go in. And then part of the inflation, and then most of the balloons standing up. And then it comes time to start putting all the stuff on and in the basket there, hooking everything up, making sure everything works. A nice shot of the crowd that was out there. And then you're about getting ready to go. Of course, they walk you to a stage or a podium, if you will, in the center of the field. And then here you are taking off. And we pointed out how nice and big and round the balloon is at this point on Saturday night, as off it goes. And then here's some of the
Here we are in
pictures
the Northeast.
near where you landed there. The just gorgeous trees there, a little fog in the sky we talked about. And the crew still on a road. You were about a mile and a half off a paved road?
We were a little bit more than that, but the crew was within a half a mile of us on that dirt road, and we saw them and we waved to them. We just could not navigate in the winds to get to that road or to get to where they were for landing. So we ended up putting it down about a half a mile from them, but we were down a hill and in some trees. There's the balloon. You can kind of see it
it's
hanging in the trees.
Yeah, there's a couple more shots along
That's
this. Here.
definitely in the trees.
In
I
the
think.
trees,
Yeah.
Yeah, the basket was on the ground, so we were on the ground.
Yeah, sure.
The balloon was hung up. There was one tree that had to be cut. There's Gold Digger.
So this is is it David or the owner of Gold Digger?
That was Dennis.
Dennis. I know. Yeah. And so 15-year-old horse here. He's had him since the horse was 3 months old. You got
A bed liner out of a pickup
from a pickup truck.
Yeah.
That Gold Digger hauled in that distance to be able to get there. And then you had obviously packed the balloon and everything into the basket here, slid it onto the bed liner, and then we're about to hook it up to Gold Digger here. Here's the video of hooking it up to Gold Digger. And then pay attention to once they get him hooked up and tell him to move
Yeah,
on.
look at the horsepower you'll see here in just a moment. And those of you on the field can see this on the big video board down there. If you're curious what we're talking about, you can watch the video with us. Because in a minute, you're going to see a great display of real horsepower.
And step back and
All
go.
right, go, Gold Digger.
Look at that. We're thinking that's about 400 pounds or so.
It's probably closer to about 500 pounds that he's pulling up. And somehow we landed in a little area, a little clearing that was about 10 feet from that road, that old logging road. So we were very lucky. Gold Digger could just come in and pull it up and pull it out. At the end of the road, though, there was this washout area they had built huge berms at. And so it did tip over there at the end.
As you saw,
but
yep.
Yeah.
They just uprighted it, and off we went.
Kept going.
Are you sending a bag of Albuquerque oats up to Gold Digger or anything like that for him?
Oh, that's a wonderful idea. I think
Yeah.
we should do
He
that.
should. I don't know that he would like a chili ristra, but, the
But-
bag of Albuquerque oats he
Oats,
might
yeah.
take kindly to. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. Anyhow, well, that was
awesome.
interesting. Thank you.
You bet. It was fun. It was fun to follow that along, and thanks to Ray for sharing those pictures with all of us, and happy to continue to talk about your guys' adventures, not only here in America's Challenge, but of course just a month ago in the Gordon Bennett race overseas in the Europe over there. Kind of a much shorter flight over there due to land issues over there, but it's always fun to watch you, and thank you very much for coming up and joining us.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Barbara Fricke.
Barbara
thanks.
Fricke. And again, give our best to Peter, please, when you see him, when he's not being taxi driver. Hey, I was just checking my watch. And Sam Parks, our balloon meister, had told us that at 7:30 they were going to make a decision on balloon of the day. We're now nearing the 8 o'clock hour, and I noticed that the yellow flag is still up. Okay. Okay. All right. So Dos Equis is balloon of the day today.
With Scott Appleman as
Scott
pilot.
Appleman. Yeah, we were, sorry for the break there. We were just chatting across the way with Paul Petrin and Sam Parks.
There you see him on the feed. We're having our high-tech conversation here,
right.
voice to voice.
Yeah, voice-to-voice communication. It's that old-style thing. Because as I was saying, we had initially talked with Sam and had an indication they were going to make a decision on balloon of the day at 7:30, and then would make a decision by about 8 o'clock as to what we were going to do. What we understand now is they are not going to open the field yet for launch. Doesn't mean they're not going to do. They're just not going to do that yet, but they are going to open the field for any pilot who wants to stand their balloon up and do a static display. In other words, simply stand the balloon up and leave it standing here on the field for people to see. And we are going to try and go forward with the presentation of the colors, the national anthem. And so we're trying to work out some coordination right now with Dos Equis and Scotty Appleman on and the stage on getting that underway. So we expect we will have something of our traditional opening ceremony, the national anthem, and as we say, at this point, the field is now open for pilots who wish to stand their balloons up and do a static display, and that suggests that the winds are at least getting better.
Yes.
Meaning lighter. It doesn't. We still have upper wind levels, I think, that are concerned for flying.
As we saw on the pie ball here, I know we didn't get that on the feed, but
but we saw it go out, and at about 200 feet, it did take off like a rocket. And so that is the concern: is the upper level winds for flying. But here on the surface, at least it is calm enough now for us to be able to get.
A few folks are given the opportunity for pilots to stand their balloon up as well. So, of course, with all of our chase crews and trucks and balloons and pilots out there on the field, you can certainly wander out in and among them. Pilots were provided with some balloon cards. Of course, with the crowds we've had this week, they may have run out on those, but this will be a great time to go out and see if you can collect some balloon cards, get your programs signed, have conversations about ballooning, how you might get involved, those kinds of things. It's a great time to have those conversations out there. If you've finished your shopping or if you have had your breakfast and are ready to walk some of that off, now would be a great time to walk out into the center of the field there and enjoy those activities and kind of mix and mingle with folks out there as well.
Well, or if you just want some exercise, you could certainly take a stroll down Main Street and do some shopping. I know, I was talking to my friend over at Arizona Tube Art the other day.
Yes.
Who is here and has been with us for a number of years. And I did finally decide last night I am going to have him make a custom piece of art for me for a friend over in Scotland. And I'm not going to say what or to who because I don't want to give it all away. But yeah, and his product is really a unique product. I would encourage you to stop by and see it. A lot of great products down there. I just happen to know this one personally. The story is he was in the construction business. The business kind of went south and worked with a lot of pipe. And what he's now doing is taking highly polished pipe and laser cutting a variety of different designs in it. And it's like a really high quality, very posh, as they would say in the UK, candle holder, because you can then set a nice LED or a natural real candle down inside it, and then the designs that are cut into the pipe glow. And he even has a dark room set up there at his booth where you can walk in and see how the products look at night in your room. They're great centerpieces, table pieces. I've got a couple of them on the tables out on my back deck. And so I'm going to go. I need to go by and see him before he leaves today because I do want to get a custom one made for a friend.
Well, that would be nice.
So
you could surprise me with it.
I could, but I'm not.
But
going
I don't
to.
live in Scotland, so it's not me, right? I had my big surprise yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey, interacting with our live feed here. Let's see on Facebook here.
I don't think people have discovered yet that it's on my page because Amy Schultz is there and says good morning. So good morning, Amy. I haven't noticed a lot of comments.
As does Dan. Yeah, he says hi to both of us there.
Going by on my page.
Rose is looking for an update, which we just gave. We're kind of on hold here to see what happens. Craig Kennedy was passing on what a great gas race, good run, Barbara and Peter. So we'll pass that on to them. And Jorgen is thanking us for doing this. Good morning, Ann. And Travis says that he will see us next year because, yes, we will be here next year. The good Lord willing and the creek don't rise. Isn't that how that goes?
Something like that,
and, so we will be here, hopefully even bigger and better with Balloon Fiesta Live.
Well, I had that conversation with Dick Rice yesterday after the award ceremony. He said, are you coming back? And I said, Dick, I'll come back every year you guys ask me. I've been coming back for 28 years. I'll come back for 29 and 30 and whatever. I'd love to be here for the 50th. I hope you and I are here doing the 50th together in 2021.
I hope so, too. So looking over on balloonfiesta.com, because we've got the chat room open over there as well.
Oh, okay.
Yet even one more source here. So let's see. Jenny thanks us for the great coverage, especially from around the world. They, especially their local balloons from Longleat and Bristol.
Aha.
So we know where they're watching from.
Absolutely.
Great, Jenny. Appreciate that.
Hello hello to Longleat, one of my favorite places in the UK. Tyler Jacques has checked in, and Colby Jones just checked in again. Colby's been with us, I think, on every broadcast so far.
Yep.
And
he always says he's back.
Yeah, Colby says good morning. Good morning, Colby.
Good
nice
morning.
to see you, my friend. So we are getting some people who are finding us, even though, as we said, the Facebook feed on Balloon Fiesta's Facebook page is not up. We're still having some technical issues with Facebook, but we were able to get it onto Art's page, Art Lloyd Jr., and then I've shared it over to my page, Glenn Moyer. And so, yeah, we've got a few people checking in.
So that's, of course, on our list to work that out so that we definitely have a nice, solid connection out to Facebook. Of course, Facebook's building a data center just south of Albuquerque in Los Lunas.
Well, then there might be some possibilities for this to become Balloon Fiesta Live provided by Facebook.
Yeah. Well, we certainly, Facebook Balloon, Larry says. Yeah,
there
we
you
can
go.
do that too.
Yeah.
Of course, we already talked a little bit about how do we get some aerial shots for next year, so that's definitely high on our list. And not only aerial shots, but I think the ability to be able to talk back and forth with someone in the basket there. We want the pilot to be able to fly the balloon and not distract them.
Yeah.
But we could put somebody, maybe we'll send Larry up in the balloon here and let him go.
Well, and we talked, Larry and I were discussing last night at dinner before going on air that, our range with Larry out on the field is still a little limited this year.
We got to fix that for next year.
So we want to fix that. We'd like to get some cameras right down onto the targets so that during competition days you can see the markers really flying into the targets. We have a lot of great ideas and things to talk about as we take this project and expand it and improve it. But as we said earlier, this was our first time in the 28 years I've been here, the first time in the 46-year history of the event we've ever done anything like this at all. And so I think, all things being equal, you kind of knocked it out of the park here this morning, buddy.
So we have another one of our gas pilots up here to be able to talk to. Christophe Suppart.
Yes, I am.
Good morning.
Good morning, Albuquerque.
So how was your gas flight this year?
It was amazing flight. We was from Albuquerque to northeast part of Canada, near the Labrador, near the New Brunswick. It was 3,526 kilometers.
That's a long way.
That's a long way.
Really long. It was fantastic race with Andy Keighton, my best co-pilot ever. It was first flight together with Andy, and we break the world record, break the American Challenge record. Was great. Was amazing.
So you'll be back again, I'm sure.
Yes, every time. The Balloon Fiesta in Albuquerque is the most exciting place all the world.
It is great. Well, we're glad you're here. You had a great flight last year, and now another one this year, too.
Last year I was the second place, and this year the same place.
So next year you're going for first?
Yes, I do.
You can't go much farther, though, before you start running out of land.
You almost run out
there.
of land, yeah.
Yeah, we're thinking about that because it's only 91 miles to win. Only next to our landing place was a sea. It's not good for us.
No, that's great. That's a good deal. So any words for the folks back in Poland that might be watching us on Balloon Fiesta Live?
Balloon Fiesta, the people, the spectators, we love you.
Great. Thanks for coming by. Congratulations on your two second-place finishes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you next year.
All righty. We'll watch for that. Thanks, Christophe.
Thanks, Christophe.
So great to have the folks come by and say hi to us here.
And it's fun to see the excitement in people that come out here. And, you live here, and I've been coming out for 28 years now, and sometimes, I don't want to say you take it for granted, but it does sort of become every day almost. And it's always fun to see the excitement for people who are here for the first or, only for a few times or come out and they can't get back for several years and then they come back again and enjoy it all over again. It's always great to see that excitement. And certainly Christoph represents that well.
So Amy says that we've all been amazing. She's one of those who just couldn't make it out this year.
Wayne
exactly what you're talking about.
Wayne Standiford just joined us, and Wayne was here flying earlier this year. I guess maybe he's on his way back to Texas or maybe already back to Texas. I got to tell you, it was funny, a comment that I was reading that was posted, I think, on my Facebook page last night by my good friend Deb Schweikert, and I think it was while we were having some fun yesterday with the multicolored
balloons.
Yeah. And she said, "You guys are cracking me up." She said, "I can't figure out which one of you is Lucy and which one is Ethel." and Deb, the answer is he's Ethel because Ethel Mertz, the character, if you remember, was from Albuquerque.
Yes.
Since you live here,
she opened the Albuquerque Little Theater here.
She did.
She was part of that project.
Yep. So Ethel Mertz was from Albuquerque. So Art is
that
Ethel,
makes me Ethel,
and I'm Lucy.
That's
Lucy,
not red hair. That's not red hair you have, though.
No, it's not. But there is such a thing as hair dye. So I might come back as a ginger next year. You never can tell.
Hey, we've already got some thumbs up going on a special shape of the Facebook balloon. So you can make an envelope with a thumbs up.
With a thumbs up.
That would be a great special shape.
Yeah.
So already got people lining up to fly it. So Facebook, there's
there's
your plan for 2018. A thumbs-up balloon.
Yeah.
And then sponsoring the Balloon Fiesta Live program.
That's right. We could put a camera crew in the balloon, and that would get us our aerial views. And, I think we've got a plan coming together.
Ted is watching us from Austin, Minnesota, the home of Spam.
The home of Spam? Oh, my gosh.
I don't know if the Spam truck is here this year. They are many times.
They are here many times.
I don't know that I've seen them down there.
I don't know. I saw a thing on Facebook just in the last day or two about Spam, now that you mention it, and it was one of those memes that people post, and it was like, do you still fry your Spam? Remember Spam sandwiches?
Yeah. I
Hey,
remember not eating them. I shouldn't say that.
Actually, I remember eating them, so... but that's another story for another day. I see what appears to be the Dos Equis balloon now, a little activity down around the main stage. So I was about to say, even though the field has been open for static display, I don't see anyone rushing to get their balloons out, though I do see a couple of crew busy out on the west side of the field. And then as I look further around, I see there's a crowd beginning to concentrate up around the main stage area, and I do see the black balloon there, which is the Dos Equis balloon with Scotty Appleman on board as pilot. And I can tell the winds are perhaps calming a bit because the heat off of this heater is now beginning to reach my face a little bit.
Oh, there you go.
So it's not being blown away. So, again, a couple of good signs maybe that we're seeing some progressive activity here. We might yet see balloons this morning.
We might. As you said, there's a couple out there. They may also be opening those up to take the banner off.
Well, that's true. It's not necessarily indicating there. And I know some of the pilots that travel, especially those overseas, need to purge their tanks, and that's going to happen today, meaning they've got to empty the tanks and get them purged of all propane. So that's going to be happening at some point today. So just because we see balloons laid out or pulled out of their bag doesn't necessarily mean they'll be inflating, but I'm going to take it as a positive sign. Hope that that's what it means. But we do see Dos Equis just about completely cold inflated now around the stage. I think we'll see it stand up here in just a moment. Have you had any word about the national anthem yet? Have you
well, when we got that last update from Sam, they still want to, if Dos Equis doesn't fly, at least stand that up and still have the national anthem. So, he's putting some heat into the balloon there, and so it's standing up right now as we watch that happen. Scotty Appleman runs Rainbow Riders. You notice they have not inflated their balloons out, so those rides will be rescheduled for another time, it appears, at this point.
Well, and speaking of awards yesterday, we mentioned earlier that you received the Sid Cutter Award yesterday.
Yes.
Scotty did he get the Hall of Fame award?
He was inducted into the Balloon Fiesta Hall of Fame.
Balloon Fiesta Hall of Fame. And Scotty, of course, is the gentleman who brought
balloon glows and special shapes to us.
Yeah.
He did many years ago.
And he does have Dos Equis standing up relatively calm. You can tell there's a little wind, but the balloon seems to be up and in good shape there.
But we can see that it rocks. It obviously standing on the ground. We're a big sail at this point when you're in a balloon like that, with hundreds of yards of fabric there, and the wind hitting it. It will rock and roll around here. So we'll kind of watch and see what happens with that. Again, I know they were trying to schedule the national anthem with it. They have told pilots if they wanted to stand the balloon up, that would be okay.
Yeah, the field has been open now for about 10 or 15 minutes for static display. But as I was saying, I have not seen anyone rushing to get their balloons up, but quite possibly they're waiting to see how Dos Equis reacts to the wind. And did I just hear we're about 5 minutes from the national anthem?
That is exactly what you heard. Great to have radio communication with well, now the fingers are 4.5. See, he's even down there reading finger singles for. Yeah, we heard Michelle.
Can you do a duck or a rabbit? Yeah, just checking.
Yeah, can you get it on there so we can see the shadows down there,
so
Bill?
we can see the shadows and make some shapes. We can have some fun this morning.
Yeah, we actually listening to the officials. You see them there on the tower.
It's not like we don't have enough communication up here. We have iPads, iPhones, Kindles, monitors, computers, radios, IFBs in our ears, and my goodness.
Two official radios here, plus the one that goes to the pilots, so we hear what they're being told.
I had my Dawn Patrol team radio out a little earlier, checking on their status this morning. So
we are definitely connected here in more ways than one.
And sometimes we still don't have a clue what's going on.
There you go. Hey, so there is someone else
another balloon inflating.
Starting to put one out there. One of the red, white, and blue stars and stripes balloons.
So maybe that's a good sign. And I think there's another one just beyond it now. It looks like it's black with, I see some red and green in the balloon.
I do.
So,
I see that. Not sure who that might be. Yeah.
Down at the north end of the field. So maybe that's a good sign.
So we are approaching the national anthem here. Again, field is open for static displays. They've not opened it for launch. As if you can see the yellow flag right behind main stage over there by the Dos Equis. The yellow flag basically meaning that we're on a hold pattern here, which we've been all morning because of the winds right here at the ground level, and even more so for the winds about levels, a couple 100 feet above us. Definitely, you know what, we talk about how the winds that are higher tend to mix down to the ground. I think I'm feeling more wind on my face right now, which means that wind that was a couple 100 feet up has come to the ground, which means it should go away soon.
I'm laughing.
Are you reading this?
Yeah, I'm laughing because Don Dumke says you need a tin can and a string to them, meaning over to our officials who are on a tower just across the roadway here from our rooftop studio.
Well, there are a couple of wires going across,
so
all we really need is the tin cans.
Yeah, if they were stronger wires, we could actually have a little sling line down there, but
yeah, thanks, Don.
we can slide back and forth, yeah. And I keep pushing on my footrest and pushing my table further and further away.
Travis wants us to come to Statesville, North Carolina this weekend.
Hey, we would love to, Travis. You know, I used to announce Freedom Weekend the Loft, which was a long-running balloon event, originally in Greenville, South Carolina. Then it moved to Anderson, and then it moved to Simpsonville, and I think then it kind of. Sorry, I'm climbing back in my chair and moving the set around here. And then I think it kind of died away.
You don't get set decorator credit.
I would, well, yeah. I don't think anybody gets set decorator credit. I'm just trying to, for some reason this morning I'm having a hard time sliding out of this high chair. And so I'm just trying to stay on camera here. It's probably, actually what I'm trying to do is crawl under the set where it's probably warmer.
It would be warmer, yeah. I should sit down and instead of keeping my face up in the wind here. I let our TV monitors here that one more of those information sources you talked about here.
Right, right. So what was that call?
That was a 1 minute here to the national anthem.
Okay.
So our national anthem this morning will be sung by Rihanna Molinaro, and we should be going to her shortly. She is down on the main stage down there, right next to the Dos Equis balloon, and where our yellow flag is still up. If you're interested in performing the national anthem here at the Balloon Fiesta, you can watch the balloonfiesta.com page for an announcement later on in the couple months from now, probably, and make your application. We'd love to have you out here.
I always wondered how they decided who got to sing the anthem. Was it yesterday the young lady sang it in Navajo? That
Yes,
was,
it was
that was really
yesterday.
interesting.
And here, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem sung by Rihanna Molinaro. Please direct your attention to the stage.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Hooray!
You betcha. Another fabulous rendition of our national anthem here. We have had great performances of that every single day this week.
I need to do that again. I had my cap over my heart, and which is right in front of my heater, and now my head's nice and warm.
Oh, there you go.
Funny the things you learn sometimes.
That's it. So, of course, the balloon of the day, Dos Equis, with Scott Appleman as the pilot there standing up. The field is still closed for launches. You can do a static display as well. The winds on the field here are still pretty quick, and we believe the winds just a few hundred feet up are also very brisk as well.
Yeah.
We've seen a couple of pilots send off some pie balls, little balloons with some helium in them, and they don't get very high off the ground, and they put the pedal to the metal and zip out of here.
And if you look back over toward the stage, we see now
there
that
goes Scotty coming down.
Scotty is not going to keep Dos Equis up very long. Got it up for the anthem, but has already deflated the balloon now. I want to say hello to Sharon Spalding, who's joined the live feed. Sharon is the wife of David Spalding, a pilot back in Shreveport, Louisiana. Sarah Hamer has joined. Sarah's a good friend and involved in our the Scottish. Oh gosh, now I'm having another senior moment. She's in our local Scottish society. The oh, that's embarrassing.
I can't help you with that one.
I know. It's embarrassing because I'm the immediate past president of the organization, and the Scottish Society of the Louisiana Highlands. There we go. It took me a minute. Oh, I hope no one else has watched. Sarah, you're sworn to secrecy. You can't say tell anybody that I blew that like that. That's terrible. And here I am decked out in my Scotland cap, and I've got my World Peace tartan on, and my I Love Scotland lanyard, and I'm in my saltire blue jacket. I mean,
you got it all there.
I'm all Scotland this morning. Yeah, so
that's it.
I should have known. I should have done better on that.
Hey, our good friend Barb Tomlin is checking in on BalloonFiesta.com. Then she says, Balloon Fiesta Live is the bomb. Can hardly wait for tech to catch up with content. You guys rock. Thank you very much, Barb. We appreciate that. Appreciate all your help in getting the word out about our Balloon Fiesta Live feed.
Yeah, her Facebook group, Balloon Talk, has really been supportive of what we're doing up here, and they've been great about sharing and getting the word out. Hey, we've got another balloon coming up, though, out on the launch field. I don't have my spotter app up because I'm watching the Facebook feed on my iPad. But
looks to me like Sol Air.
Is that Sol Air? I think you're right.
It is.
I believe it is. And so they're getting their balloon stood up. And I think I see Johnny Petrin. I believe that's probably the Cannon balloon.
It is Cannon there.
Being inflated in front of main stage. And those other two are now kind of getting back into the program. The Stars and Stripes patterned balloon down there. And the other one we saw down toward in the area where normally we have the special shapes in the northeast corner of the field. Seeing a little action there.
And the yellow one over on the west side of the field that you were watching pull the envelope out of the bag has put some cold air into it as well.
Oh, it has, and there's another further back toward almost near the northwest exit to the park. Is that black and yellow? Blue and yellow, I think it is. Blue and yellow.
Yeah, blue and yellow way out there at the northwest, yep.
So we are seeing some sporadic activity on the launch field as far as hopefully pilots getting balloons up on static display at least. The yellow flag's still up, so the field is still closed for any flight activities. But some of the pilots apparently are secure enough with the wind conditions that they feel safe in standing the balloons up for a static display, and that's good.
And we certainly appreciate that as well. In fact, we appreciate all of you for coming out this week and even for this morning. Because it is a weather-dependent event, but it's we usually lately we've been getting most of our flights off. We certainly had a great week this year, and probably one of the best days in years was yesterday morning.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I think today is the first flying event that we've not been able to so far have not been able to fly.
We canceled the competition on Monday, but the flights went off.
The flights went off, and then we had a false start, if you will, on the Special Shapes Rodeo Glodio or the Glodio on Friday night, where we had the balloons standing up. We had some outflow from disappearing thunderstorms that forced the balloons to deflate early. And then, of course, last night we did have a good breeze across the field and ended up doing a candlestick glow. But those are not flying events. And so today is the first event out of the 9 days that we've not been able to so far, because there is still the possibility of successfully getting balloons in the air. Though, I almost am hesitant to say this, it looks to me like the field has cleared out a bit. A lot of these pilots have to travel a great distance. I mean, they come from all over the United States, and of course the international pilots too, who are perhaps catching planes and flying out today. But I know a lot of pilots actually had to get on the road yesterday after the award ceremony because they have real jobs to be back to tomorrow morning.
Well, they took a few days off to get here and then to be here for 9 days.
9 days.
So they've pretty much been gone from their job, as you're saying, for 2 weeks. So, it's time to get back.
So some of them do have to leave town early, and a lot of the pilots do hit the road on Saturday afternoon, and certainly a number of them. I know Scott Vesley, he and I chatted last night about Dawn Patrol. The Dawn Patrol show did not fly this morning because of the wind, but I had already spoken to Scott last night, our Dawn Patrol show producer, and his intention was to stand up and do the show, do the glows they do on the ground, but then when it came time to launch, he was going to deflate and pack the balloon up because he needed to drive back to Dallas today. And so some of the pilots have unquestionably probably headed home, and I'm thinking some, after this long hold this morning, I see some balloon vehicles even moving around on the field now, may have decided that the odds are they're not going to get to fly today, and so they're going ahead and getting on the road. So,
hey, so I have some good news for you on your Scottish stuff.
Oh, you do?
Our good friend Don Henderson, who was out here last weekend, we were looking for the Scottish flag emoji on the iOS app.
Yes.
Apparently that has been released, and it is now out there. So you should be able to go see the Scottish flag in your emojis on your iPhone.
All right. I've been waiting anxiously
thanks, Don,
for that
update.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Don,
that.
Because the last update we had said it probably wasn't going to be released until about November. So I thought we were going to have to wait another couple of weeks.
Yep. So he says it's out there, so I haven't checked.
Okay.
I'll take his word for it.
Well, maybe that's the software update I got because it's in iOS 11.1, and I'm on 11.0.2 or 3, I believe.
Yep.
So maybe that's, and I got a notice about a software update, so maybe if I make the update, I'll have access.
Might be there.
Hallelujah.
So the red, white, and blue balloon that stood up there for a few minutes and now is deflating, that is D3 is the name of that balloon. Tim Taylor,
who is a member of our Dawn Patrol team.
Yep. From Salt Lake City, Utah. So thanks, Tim, for setting that up for at least a few minutes for us.
I'm thinking one of the balloons down on the northwest corner there, the black with the red ring around the top, when we see it stand up, it will actually be what used to be the balloon called, I'm not sure if it's named now, but it used to be called Miss Kitty. It's got little kitty cat caricatures with red bows. It was originally owned by a pilot who was a very dear friend of mine, Kitty Schwartz, in Plano, Texas, and her nickname was Miss Kitty, and so her balloons were called Miss Kitty, which reminds me, I've been talking all week long about the balloon with the turquoise windows in it, Insanity Later, I think it was, and saying that was Lance Terry's balloon,
Right.
and that someone else was flying it. Well, the reason someone else is flying it is because it's not Lance's balloon anymore. It's actually Casey Schwimmer's balloon, and Casey's been flying it. And he finally messaged me yesterday and said, I hear you've been saying all week long that that's Lance Terry. It's not Lance Terry's balloon. It's my balloon. So, Casey, my apologies, my friend. I knew the balloon is Lance Terry's because Lance is always at the Plano Balloon Festival with me, and it was, but apparently Casey bought the balloon a couple of years ago, and I just didn't realize that the change of ownership had happened. Why am I falling out of my chair this morning?
Not sure there. So, of course, now we're in trouble. It was actually, I mentioned that emoji here. Maria, Don's wife, actually found it, and I gave Don credit for that.
So now you're in trouble.
Yeah. So
see,
Don's getting beat up by Maria now.
And see, I've got Rick Goosey's wife, mother rather, mad at me.
Yeah.
And now you've got Don's wife on you. So David,
you gotta put
David
it out there to
Williamson
get
joined.
anything.
Scotland. Good morning, David. How are you, my friend? Scotland the brave, he says. David is one of my dearest friends over in Scotland. And so he's just joined. No doubt probably found the feed because it's on my Facebook page this morning. Hope the weather is better in Glasgow today, David, than it was a day or so ago when you posted that picture. So we're taking just a moment to monitor the officials' radio here. They're putting out some sort of an update or information for the pilots.
So they were telling the pilots that those who need to purge their tanks, because you can't ship them with propane in there, you have to purge those. So if they needed to do that, because of course they fueled up yesterday, so they'll need to do that. They can do that in propane this morning. So the black, mostly black around the equator with the white designs on it, and then the purple, blue, and green towards the top. That's Gary Moore's
timepiece, yeah.
Yep.
Looks very reminiscent of a album cover that Pink Floyd did some years ago, as a matter of fact. And, hey, Kathy Leindecker has joined in and says, I'm flying with Rainbow Riders. Well, I hope that you're flying with Rainbow Riders today, Kathy. We're still on a bit of a weather hold because of brisk winds. Winds that are calming down here on the field, but are continuing to blow rather briskly at about 200 feet above the ground, keeping us outside of our waiver allowables or our safety margins.
Yes.
So as a result, the field is open for any pilot to pilot discretion to do static display, meaning to inflate their balloons and leave them standing here on the ground, as a few are doing, as you can see. But, yeah, and look, it's interesting because now that timepiece is up, look at the crowd migrating
right
across,
over to the balloon.
Right over to the balloon.
Yes.
Look at that.
Wow.
It's almost like those movies you see of Africa where the herd of zebras or the antelopes or whatever they have in Africa are just migrating across the Masai Mara there, and they're all migrating over to where the timepiece balloon is standing. There's a nice shot of it on the crowd.
There you go.
On the live feed. Yeah.
Of course, as we've mentioned many times, this is one of the few events anywhere around the world that spectators can actually get right out instant among the balloons.
That's true.
Flight operations, if you will. Many balloon rallies around the country have a flagged-off area, and spectators have to stay behind the flags. I remember the first time I encountered that, I was actually covering the National Hot Air Balloon Championships in Baton Rouge back in 1990. And even as a media person, I was outside the flagging and had to apply for special permission to get inside that. And I thought, wow, what is that going on? We, for at that point, 15 years, had been allowing spectators on the field with balloons.
Well, I remember, now that you mentioned that, interesting that we didn't cross paths then. When the Nationals was first held in Baton Rouge in 1989, I had just been hired as editor of Balloon Life magazine, and I was there covering the Nationals for the magazine. And my friend and colleague and predecessor now as editor of Ballooning Journal, Ruth Ludwig, was there, and Ruth Ludwig Lind. Well, we were both registered as media, but they allowed Ruth out onto the field, out inside the fencing, and they would not allow me out. And they said, well, only pilots are allowed out. And so Ruth had sent home and had her logbooks sent to her. And so I had to do the same thing. I had to get in touch with Tom Hamilton, the publisher of the magazine back in California, to get my logbooks and retrieve them and send them out to me and get registered so that as a pilot I was allowed out onto
The launch field.
the launch field, but the spectators, even as you say, even as registered media, we were not allowed out
Nope.
unless you could prove that you were a balloonist or a pilot and you knew how to behave out on the launch field. So we've come a long way since then. Of course, Fiesta was always ahead of the curve in that regard.
Well, I was going to say that's probably goes back to the very first, what has become the very first balloon fiesta. Started as let's just bring some balloons in for the birthday party of KOB Radio. They arranged for 21 balloons to come in, but through some transportation and weather issues, 13 actually made it. They expected a couple hundred people to show up for that thing. Tommy Rutherford, who was working for KOB and kind of working with Sid Cutter to put this together, showed up with passes for 200 people to get onto the field.
They really didn't expect enough of a crowd to have to worry about it, to be honest.
No, one crowd control, one Albuquerque police officer on horseback. 20,000 people showed up. Tommy says he just threw the passes in the back of his car and said, well, let's just go.
Yeah.
So, and so now, of course, that continues to be the rule here. Always open. The competition area, of course, gets roped off.
Right.
Because balloons are actually coming right down to the ground, and they're throwing markers and rings and all those kinds of things off the balloons. So we still rope off the competition area, but you're still up close and personal, and especially on Mass Ascension days or on days like today when it's a static display going on by some of our balloonists, you'll be able to get right up close and personal. And it's almost like that crowd didn't migrate. It just grew that way.
It almost did, yeah. They just almost like plants popped up out of the ground out there. But it was interesting there because for a while you could absolutely see just this migration of people walking all the way across the field from the east to the west to get out around the timepiece balloon. I saw Gary and Diana, his wife, yesterday just after the award ceremony. They both stopped and said hello. Good folks and longtime friends in the sport of ballooning.
Earlier in the week, we saw Gary stand up Albert Einstein, one of the special shapes. So this is their regular shape balloon.
This has always been one of my favorite. As I say, it reminds me there's a Pink Floyd album cover that had much the same design on it way back in the days of rock and roll. And so always been one of my favorite balloons. But and Gary and Diana travel the world doing ballooning. They've been over into at events in Thailand and over into a lot of Southeast Asia, all over the place. They're always on an airplane, it seems, going somewhere.
And from Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
Lake Havasu City, up in Las Vegas. They've done some flying up there. So, yep, they get around quite a bit.
I actually got to march across the London Bridge in Lake Havasu, Arizona at its very grand opening.
Oh, wow. Robert Grimes says, go Gary.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So continue to rock and roll. Looks like they're deflating Miss Kitty out there.
Yeah. The other balloons have all deflated. There's one just here to our right down in the near the Sid Cutter Pavilion that has started to inflate. A black, yellow, and looks like red or orange spiraled balloon is standing up, but there's just not a lot of activity out there. And I guess I can't blame the pilots. It's been pretty brisk all morning. You can even see the flags on the back of some of the chase vehicles down there. Still pretty well starched. Clear indication there's still some pretty decent wind down on the field. The anemometer over on the officials tower continues to spin rather rapidly. And quite frankly, it's still pretty cold up here where we are on the rooftop studio. So
it feels to me like it's gotten colder here.
It does,
again.
yeah. Well, I've noticed that the heat is no longer reaching me from my little heater here. A little while ago, I was feeling it very nicely on my face, but now I really got to lean into it to even tell if it's still working. So it does feel like it's gotten a bit colder. I think the wind has gotten a bit brisker. Is that a word, brisker?
Brisker?
Yeah, it is now.
It's definitely.
It is now. Good idea, Larry.
Hey, I just wanted to say it's a pleasure to work with both of you this year again. All right, congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much, Larry.
Glenn, it's always great to see you.
And
we've had a great time.
And you and I have a little something in common because you produce some top quality podcast, and I do a little podcasting myself. So we both do a little
We
broadcasting in
should
that
hook up
realm.
on that.
We should. I need a good producer and a good marketer for my podcast. So, we ought to
we
talk.
can talk about that.
We should talk business. Yeah, we should do a little business while we're here.
I've had a ball with you guys this year. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for all the work you've done.
Oh,
and,
listen.
Absolutely.
Being
And
out there on the field
our
and
cameraman
traveling the pieces
Tony.
here.
Well, he's an Iron Man. That guy.
He is.
He's chasing balloons, and I'm trying to keep up with him. So we've had a great time.
Well, and it's added a whole new dimension to what we're doing up here because the first time in the 46 years that we've been doing this, 28 for me, 4 for Art, 4 for you, and then Tom Rutherford before all of us. But we've never had a roving reporter out there as a part of what we've been doing up here, and so it's really interesting to have you bring that element to us. And bring some great interviews with some of the pilots and
it's
people
about
down
the
on the
pilots
field.
and the people. You know, they're
is.
just here having fun. I got asked how you find first time visitors. They're the ones standing with their mouths open, looking up. And they're easy to find.
Or their heads spinning around.
Their heads spinning.
Or the deer in the headlights look on their face like, what? You know.
So I just want to
awesome.
say thanks. Great fiesta and good to see you both. And let's do it next year.
We'll do it all again.
We'll do it again next
all
year.
Again. Thank you for joining us, Larry. Thanks for your work here as well.
And thanks for hanging out up
with
here with us
this
this morning in the cold when you didn't have to.
That's it.
Yeah.
All righty. So I've identified the other balloon that's now standing up over there, the red, yellow, with black checks in the spiral pattern there. That is the balloon called Squirrel, and that is Jim Hoydal.
Squirrel.
He's from La Luz, New Mexico. So we've had
I am a good doggy, I am.
I am.
Yeah.
We had great shots
Squirrel.
of Beagle Maximus earlier. I
We
wonder
did.
if when he was looking off to different things here, I wonder if he wasn't looking at
He might have
Squirrel
been.
here
Yeah.
as
Well, he was
well.
probably trying to stay out of the cone of shame. That's for sure. And speaking of Beagle Maximus and Tiamo, boy, is that a bad sign or what? I think they're taking the anemometer down off the officials tower.
Well, that'll slow it down for sure.
Yeah. If you stick it down below the framework there, it'll quit moving altogether.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Maybe we can check in with Sam and get another update.
So Barbara Fricke was up here before. Now the whole crew is yelling at us from down here in
from
Sponsor Hospitality. There's
Yeah.
Ray, who took those great pictures that we shared earlier this morning.
I noticed, even though we're talking about the wind picking up, our set dressing is about to blow away up here.
Our TVs are kind of
TVs are
wrapping
rocking.
this
The
up.
the tablecloth is about to
as
get
well.
airborne as well.
You know, Glenn, I think we've seen what we're going to see here.
I kind of think you're right, Art.
And so
sadly.
I'm thinking, while it's a little early here, I think it's time to wrap up the 2017 edition of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think clearly the crowd is getting the idea that we're pretty much have seen even timepieces coming down
now. Yep.
So I think now all that's left really is to do some shopping before you leave, pick up that last souvenir, maybe grab one more breakfast burrito and a cup of coffee before you leave. But, yeah, I think maybe it's time to put a fork in this one.
I think so. So let me give the guys in the back a cue that we have a credit roll to roll here in just a moment.
Okay.
But we have a tradition here at the end of the not only balloon flights, but now at the end of our announces. And, of course, we have to keep that tradition on Balloon Fiesta Live.
Absolutely. And that is, we always like to sign off with the balloonist prayer, which is written by an anonymous Irishman, as we've talked about, probably because the Irish like to drink so much after they go flying, but now all of us do. And I'm just joking about that, of course.
And I actually brought
offend
champagne
anyone.
up here this morning to celebrate our deal here. Should we get it out? You want to hold the prayer and get out, or we'll just do the prayer?
Well, let's just do the prayer, and then we can enjoy the champagne with our crew and the production
there we
team.
go. There we go.
As we would with our with any balloon pilots and crew after the flight. So
if you'd like to join us with the balloonist prayer, it goes like this.
may the winds welcome you with softness. May the sun bless you with its warm hands. May you fly so high and so well that God joins you in your laughter and sets you gently back into the loving arms of Mother Earth.
Amen.
Thank you so much for being a part of Balloon Fiesta, the 46th Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta presented by Canon, and especially for being a part of the first year of Balloon Fiesta Live. Art, again, congratulations on your award, buddy. Well deserved.
Thank you, sir.
And it's been a pure pleasure to be up here with you for this fourth year together, and I look forward to many more.
It has been an absolute joy again this year. I'm excited to be able to do Balloon Fiesta Live. And I look forward to working with you again next year, and maybe even a few places between now and then.
We'll see what we can figure out.
For all of us here at Balloon Fiesta Live, thank you very much for joining us online and on the field. Be sure and watch what is happening. Go back and revisit the archives on the
Right. If you
Facebook,
missed
etc.
flights early in the week, you can still find them on our feed and on Facebook.
And with that said, thank you again for joining us. Roll the credits. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.